Hi there, welcome back. In this lesson I'm going to be showing you how to animate the flight path lines that we added in the previous lesson. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you a couple of cool features in QGIS which enables you to style your maps and globes a little bit more interestingly. So on this one I want to add in what looks like a sort of atmosphere around the globe, sort of like a blue halo. So in order to do that, take your clip disk and just duplicate it, and I'll put a copy behind. Now what I want to do is go to the properties, and you want to choose inverted polygons. Click on simple fill, then go for a shape burst fill. Now what you want to do here is it's essentially creating a gradient, but because it's inverted, instead of filling inside the circle, it's going to fill outside the circle. So if I just hit apply now, you'll see what I mean. So it's putting this sort of halo going from this blue to white. It's set to shade the whole shape being your screen, but I want to do it set to a specific distance. So if I set it to 30, you can see it's put a glow around it. So I still want to keep the black to make it still look like space. So all I'm going to do is change the opacity to 0. There you go. And I'm just going to change this first colour so it's not so leery. And I'll just change the opacity to about 50. There we go. So now we have a nice subtle glow around our globe. Now I also want to make the actual globe itself look a bit more spherical. So same thing, properties, but this time instead of it being a inverted polygon, I'm just going to keep it on simple fill, shape burst fill, and I'm just going to have 2 greys for my shape burst fill. So let's do 30 for the first one and 60 for the second one. And this time shade whole shape, which means the whole circle there. So that's given our globe a more spherical shape. I'm just going to change the fill on the lakes because they're a little bit bright now that we've darkened our globe. So just change that down to, let's say, 40. That's better. Okay, so now let's turn on our flight paths. If you don't have these, if you've come to this lesson cold and you don't know how we got to this, then the best thing to do is just view the previous lesson, which I'll show you how to add the flight paths in. So I'm just going to change the colours of these because I don't like the green. So I'm just going to go to a nice blue to match our lines, our glow around the globe. So something like that. Let's just apply that and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a nice blue. Now what I want to do is make it look sort of more intense around the Heathrow area. So in order to do that, if you just change the feature blending mode to screen and apply that, you'll just see it looks. You get a nice white brightness where most of the lines that are starting to overlap, they get more intense. So that way you get a nice, it's almost like a sort of starburst effect. So let's OK that. Actually, just knock the opacity down a little bit. It's a little bit bright. Let's change that to 20 and see what that looks like. Maybe 10. Lovely. Okay, so I'm happy with that now. I mean, you need to turn off the little red X's that you get when you go into edit mode on any layer. So to do that, go to Settings, Options, Digitizing, and then Vertex Markers, and turn the cross to none. OK that. Now with MMQGIS, when you do the animation, you want to resize your window to the size you want the animation to be, because basically it outputs your canvas at the size it is. So I'm going to do it a lot smaller. It basically makes it quicker, but you can do it any size you want. So I'm just going to make the glow around the globe a little bit less now that we've made it smaller. So let's say that's 20. OK that's better. So now MMQGIS, animate lines, choose your flight paths layer. I'm just going to browse to my frames folder. Okay, and that's just going to run through the procedure creating the 50 PNGs that will then take into Photoshop, just like we did on the previous lesson. Wait for the little spinning beach ball to finish and then we'll know we're done. Actually, let's go to the folder while we're waiting for that. So on the desktop, QGIS, globe, frames. Yeah, they're all done now. So as before, take your first frame and take it into Photoshop. This is basically just to set the canvas size for your animation. Then go back to Finder, select the rest of the frames and drop them on. And just keep hitting enter until all of the layers have been placed. But as you can see, the lines have animated nicely. You see them growing. Nearly done. Okay, so now you need to bring up your frames onto your timeline. The timeline is here at the bottom. If you can't find it, it's window and then timeline. So let's add your frames, make frames from layers, and I'll add them all in. And I want to select them all, hold down the shift key, click on the last one, and change the time to 0.02 seconds. And just on the last one, change that to 2. And then save for web, file, save for web, or Command Alt Shift S. Run it on GIF and looping options forever. Save that. Animation. And to preview it, very simply, go to your browser and then just drag the file into your browser. And there you can see beautiful animation. I hope you enjoyed this one and come back for some more later on.